All right, today we're diving into a story that really blurs the line between a creepy internet story and, well, a real-world horror. It's all about a figure who started out as just a meme, but morphed into something way, way more terrifying. We're talking about the Slender Man.
And that really gets to the heart of it, right? It's the one question that hangs over this entire story. How in the world does a simple Photoshop contest, just a bit of fun on a forum, spiral into a genuine American nightmare? Let's get into it.
Well, the whole thing starts with a totally new kind of monster. See, Slender Man wasn't born from some ancient myth or a spooky old book. He was born right on the internet, in the glow of a computer screen. So you can forget about Dracula, forget about the Wolfman. Those guys have been around for centuries, passed down through stories. Slender Man, his entire history, his whole existence, began online. And honestly, that's what makes this story so uniquely modern and so dangerous. So, where did this digital ghost actually come from? Let's go back to the very beginning, the exact moment he was pretty much summoned into existence, and see how he managed to capture the internet's imagination so darn fast. It all starts right here, June 10th, 2009. There's this website, Something Awful, and on their forums, a user named Eric Knutson decides to enter a contest. The whole point was super simple. Just use Photoshop to create a fake paranormal picture. So Knutson posts these two really unsettling black and white images. But here's the thing that made it all click. It wasn't just the creepy picture that got people's attention. It was the caption that Knutson wrote with it. Just those few words. We didn't want to go, we didn't want to kill them. And suddenly, this photoshopped figure had a story, a motive, and this wave of dread just washed over it. A monster was born, right then and there. And you know how the internet works. That one post wasn't just a post. It was like a spark hitting dry wood. The idea of Slender Man didn't just stay on that one little forum. It completely exploded. It went viral, spreading across the web and changing and growing with every single share.
So why was he so freaky? Why did he work so well? Well, because he hits all these deep, primal fears we have. That blank face, it's like a mirror for whatever you're most afraid of. He wears a suit, so he just blends in, this anonymous threat that could be anywhere. He goes after kids. And he doesn't even have to talk to drive you crazy. He's just there. Always in the background, a silent predator you don't even see until it's way too late. And the way this thing went from a forum post to a full-blown nightmare was insanely fast. First, the story jumped over to Creepypasta sites. These are hubs for horror stories that anyone can add to, and the lore just exploded. Then you get YouTube series like Marble Hornets, which brought him to life with that cheeky found footage style. And then came the video games, like Slender, which made the whole thing interactive. Now you were the one in the woods, running from him. And this is where the story takes a really dark, really tragic turn. This is the moment, that wall between some scary story online and the real world just completely dissolved. And the consequences were devastating. So the myth was about this faceless predator, stalking people from the shadows of the internet. But in 2014, in Waukesha, Wisconsin, that myth crashed into our world in the most brutal way. Two 12-year-old girls became so convinced he was real that they decided they had to act on his behalf. They lured their own friend into the woods and attacked her. The victim was stabbed 19 times. Just let that sink in for a second. 19. It's an absolute miracle she survived. After she managed to crawl out of the woods and get help. When the police questioned the girls, their reason was horrifyingly clear. They said they did it to prove they were loyal to Slender Man, to become his proxies, his followers. They truly believed they had to commit this horrible act of violence to appease this fictional monster and somehow to protect their own families from him. That line was just gone. The fiction had become their reality. After the stabbing, Slender Man stopped being just a scary story you'd read online. He became a case study, right? A cultural symbol of the incredibly powerful and sometimes dangerous influence of myths born on the internet. And of course, pop culture immediately jumped in to try and make sense of what happened. There was that HBO documentary that explored the psychology behind it all. And then Hollywood made a horror movie that kind of sensationalized the myth. But his real legacy? It lives on exactly where it started, online, in all these YouTube channels and Reddit threads and podcasts that are still dissecting the legend today. And this is really what makes Slender Man a totally new kind of monster. You could say he's America's first truly viral horror icon. He wasn't created by one person like a Stephen King character. He was built by thousands of people, all working together in this huge shared digital space. In a way, he belongs to everyone and to no one at all. But when you boil it all down, the real terror of Slender Man isn't his blank face or his weirdly long arms. It's the fact that he's a digital ghost. He's not just out there in the woods, he's in the code, in the pixels. He could be hiding in the background of any picture, anywhere. And that's the thing. He doesn't chase you. He just waits. And he watches. Which leaves us with the single most unsettling part of this entire legend. The real fear isn't actually seeing him. It's that sudden, cold realization that you've been seeing him all along. Because by the time you finally notice that tall, silent figure in the background, it's already too late.